Hey guys, how you doing? So our last video was about how to become successful in interviewing and applying for a flight attendant. So I'm actually going to speak about what the role is and what your day-to-day interaction will be, and what happens when you actually become hired. So my little background, but my journey is how I even became a flight attendant. I was applying for a job one time and I saw a role that said concierge frequent flyer airport lounge. I had no idea what that was about, but I had a background in hospitality and customer service, so I applied for it, and only until I actually walked into the airport and then I saw it was in San Francisco, and I actually saw the huge carrier's name and realized it was their airline lounge, and I'm like, wow, this is a pretty big deal. So I got hired, and I was there for about a couple of months, and it really wasn't a good fit for me because it was their Echelon airline lounge and club, and folks who belong there either pay a fee or they fly so much to get it free. And I was just basically scanning their cars in and pouring champagne, and I wanted to learn so much because it was an airline, and I kept asking to learn more and how to reprice things and reticket and reseat and reboard, and nobody wanted to teach me anything because they said it would take too long, it was too hard, it was too difficult. I was like, I got a brain, just show me how to do it, I'll figure it out. Like, no. So actually the supervisor thought they were doing me a disservice, and they sent me down to the ticket counter. So you can imagine when you go to the ticket counter at a huge airport, for a huge airline, you gotta know what you're doing. So thank God they had an internet program that showed all the functionalities that all the agents did, and I went home and taught myself the top 5 things: how to price a ticket, how to give a boarding pass, how to change a seat, how to do bags. So the 5 things that people did every single day, I taught myself on the computer. And then once I got there, I picked up really fast, and I would ask my colleagues every day, show me 3 things, show me 4 things. And they would teach me it, and I was catching on pretty fast. They were like, okay, so maybe this person does have a brain. And so the more I learned, the more they were apt to show me, because if I knew more, there would be less work for them. So I was there for a few months, and the station manager walked by one day, and she saw an interaction I had with one of the passengers, and she says, you know what, you actually belong at the gates. And so the gates right before you board the plane, basically. And I was so excited because there's so much to learn in the gates, and I learned that and picked it up pretty fast. Then they actually needed some help in the baggage office, and so I went to the baggage office. You can imagine that. People are like, how does the airline lose a bag? Recent stories. Anyways, so my interactions, I was doing all that for about 10 months, and about the 4 or 5 month mark, when I was at the ticket counter, a flight attendant, a supervisor actually walked by, who was actually a trainer, and he saw an interaction I had with a guest, and he said, you know what? You should be a flight attendant. He said, you're going to be a flight attendant. I'm like, what? It's so hard. People don't get in. They try 4 times. It's like, you're going to get in. So lo and behold, 10 months after I started out in this the airport lounge, I started and became a flight attendant. So that was my journey. So what happens once you become a flight attendant? So we spoke about the interview process. You got hired, you're excited, you can't wait what you do. So guys, it's going to take, the whole process sometimes could take anywhere from 4 months to about 9 months before you actually become a flight attendant. So not only do they check your resume in the interview, the face-to-face, now they got to check to make sure you are who you say you are. You're dealing with aviation. So you not only going to get an FBI background, you're going to get the airport background, the airport that you'll be working for, and some other, depends on your role, because you got to be working for a huge carrier or a small carrier. So there's a lot of privilege that comes with being a flight attendant and a flight aviation person. So they got to make sure you are who you say you are. You also got to pass credit scores. You got to pass any criminal activities. So they're going to scrub your application very good and thoroughly to make sure that, like again, you say who you are, and also going to make sure, because you're going to have a lot of privileges in and out of security that you bypass every single day to get on a plane. And remember, aircraft is the FAA, Federal Aviation Aircraft, so it's going to be a lot of rules and regulations. So let's talk about how to get hired. So of course it's very exciting. You're going to have to get fitted for uniform. Training. Guys, training is very intense. It's interesting because I've met a few people who said, oh, training was so easy for me and it was so fun. And I'm like, I'm not sure what training you went through. And I think if you're an overachiever and you're somebody who's a perfectionist, it can be very challenging because you want to do so well. And in my situation, my airline, you only could get 1 low score. So it was about a 6.5, 7 week training course, and you only could get 1 low score. So say you got no lower than 85, right? You have to get 90 or higher always. But say you had 85 one time on a test. You take basically a test every other day. No, sorry, every day you take a test. And so if you got a low score in one test, you had 1 opportunity to redo the test. Not 2, not 3, not 4. 1 opportunity to redo the test, and you had to get a 90 or higher. And if you didn't get 90 higher, you were gone. You know, so you either going to do well or not do well. And the thing is, remember, you're learning standardized things on the aircraft. And in the airline that I worked for at the time, we probably had 14 different type of aircraft in their fleet. So you got to think about it. You learn an aircraft every single day, and you basically have to forget what you learn something new, and then you have a midterm, then you have a final. It's a lot of pressure. And not only are you doing that, people think, oh, flight attendant, they're just walking in a concourse, looking all cute and getting on a plane and they get to travel the world for free. No, it's a lot more than that. You basically, most part of training, you're learning what to do in the case of an emergency. How to save somebody's life. From pregnancy to terrorism, to anything with the cockpit. There's so much going on. And after 9/11, it's even more serious now. And so you do not learn about how to make drinks, guys. You're learning the most important part and the highest percentage is safety. What do you do if something goes wrong? And so every day you go in an aircraft, when you're in that aircraft, you're in charge of a couple hundred people's lives. And people don't think about that when they see a flight attendant. They just think about, oh my God, I can't believe dinner's going to be another half an hour. So anyways, so training. It's really great. I could, I guess, equate it, for those of you who have belonged to fraternity, you bond with people. I mean, you're with 20, 30, 40 people, and you're basically with them every single day from sun up to sundown, and you're learning about aircrafts and safety regulations and, what do you do? And in our case, the airline I worked for is an international airline. They have regional and domestic flights, so it's all in the nation, United States, all the states, but also have international flights all over the world. So the way they taught and trained you, you didn't train on a destination, you trained on an aircraft, every single aircraft. At the time, it was the DC-9, all the way up to the Boeing 767, Airbuses, you name it. They had, like I said, 12, 13, 14 different type of aircrafts, different fleets, and you had to learn all these different aircrafts. The great thing about that is, when you came out of training, you literally could fly anywhere in the world. Because it's not about, oh, I'm going to be a domestic flight attendant or international flight attendant, you're a flight attendant. And we'll talk more about when you're on call and your schedule and all that kind of stuff. But back to training a little bit. So every day is just really, really intense. And it's not about the person that's in training, it's the life that you have outside of training. When you become a flight attendant, you need a support system from your family, your friends, your partner, everyone. Because if they don't make you successful, you're not going to be successful. You cannot be in training and to be worrying about what's going on at home. Your family has to know, guys, for the next 7, 8, 6 weeks, you're untouchable. You don't have time to deal with no drama. You really don't. You're going through so much stuff every single day. The last thing you need to do is look at your phone, look at the text. I'm sorry. Unless somebody dies, guys, you're going to have to respect this person's journey, because it is part of the journey, and the reward that you're going to get is that if somebody got that close, you may be traveling the world with them for free, so just bide your time and be fine with it. Support them. Ask them what they need of you, because really that time, they need to just be focused. So you train and then you graduate, and basically the bases that you are sent at in the United States, if it's a United States carrier, if you're watching this video, it can be anywhere. It depends on your airline, what's a hub, what's a city that they're huge in, and the carrier I worked for, they have hubs all over the nation. All over the nation. They even have hubs overseas also, though it's a supply and need basis. So it depends on when you get hired, what basis. At the time when I got hired, I was, I think, the 4th or 5th class for that year. So I think they still had like maybe 8 bases left. So just for happenstance, say it was LA, that was way too senior at that point. Say it was Salt Lake City, Detroit, New York, Boston. So you have all these different cities that call bases. And they tell you, you can choose, 1 or 2 or 3 bases. It doesn't mean you're going to get it, but you can do a pecking order of where you'd like to go. And depending on the need of the operation, that's where they're going to send you. So what I went through training, you'd find out basically 2 or 3 weeks before training was done, or what base you were going to go to. So what's crazy about it is you graduate, your family's there, it's so exciting. You just get, you just feel like you just want to collapse on the floor after that last test. You have your airline ID, you have that key, and you're just like, wow, I did it, I can't believe it. So now you basically have maybe 3-4 days off. You have a base orientation, so wherever your new base is going to go to, you're going to go there, you're going to get an orientation of what that base does. And then you're on, guys. You have to find a place to live. I'll do another video on crash pads and how that whole life is. But basically, you're on. You're basically on. So, and I'll do some videos about scheduling, how to choose your best routes, all that good stuff, and seniority. But this video will focus on what happens actually after training and how to survive training. So that first couple of weeks that you're in your new base, it's a wake-up call. You're like, oh my God, this is happening. What I would challenge the folks who are veterans and who have done this for a while, and you have somebody who's new that comes in, take them under your wing, guys. We all started, and I'm no longer a flight attendant. I was for quite a few years. But if you have somebody that comes in and they're brand new, take them under your wing because you know how it felt like to start at that level. And there's so much information from the computer system to the bidding to the schedules to where you're going to live. It's overwhelming. So if you have somebody that kind of guides you, yes, you have to do your own accountability and find out, some stuff on your own. But if you as a veteran, you've been there, you know what that feeling is, take that person under your wing. I mean, my base is New York. And you can imagine, as an adult, I think a young adult, I went to New York once, and an adult, I went to New York another time, maybe for 1 or 2 days, back then, years ago. And then now, as an adult, and the flight attendant for my base to be New York, and we graduated in March, so it's still winter. It was a lot. It was a lot going on. And if you're not organized and on top of your game, it can be very overwhelming. So to continue, once you start flying, try to soak in the first couple of months, guys. It's so much information and so much you can do. So the way it works in the flight attendant game is seniority. Seniority rules everything, right? So the longer you're there, the better trips you're going to get, the better destinations you're going to be on, the better planes you're going to go on. So the fact is, if your airline has many different type of aircrafts, it could be on a small aircraft or a large aircraft. And usually the small trips to say from Atlanta to Birmingham or Atlanta to Detroit, something that's not too big, you're not going to get the right away LA to New York. So you just got to bide your time and learn the system. Take it on your own to learn the system for somebody who knows it very well and to become very savvy at it, so it can make it a better life for yourself. I have a couple of minutes here, so let's talk about on-call days. Most airlines have something called a reserve system. The airline that I worked for, this was great about it. You only had 6 days that you were on call. So the rest of it, you can kind of basically play with your schedule, put things where you need to, but you were on call for 6 days, which meant that literally from midnight, you could be called and be sent anywhere in the world. And because remember, you're trained on aircrafts, not destinations, so they'll get comfortable. And so you literally could be sent anywhere the next day, because you think about it again, if you have 22, 23, 24,000 flight attendants, something's going to happen. Somebody's going to be out sick. Somebody's cat's going to need some extra purring or something. So there's also something going on where you're going to have to cover somebody. And you would think about it, where you are in a pecking order. You see like a couple hundred people in front of you, like, oh, I'm not going to get called tomorrow. Ring, ring, your butt's going to Jamaica. You are going to get called, you're going to get used. And it's just what it is. You're going to have people who have different stuff going on in their lives. And so what's the good thing about my airline, again, that I worked for, was that you were on call for 6 days. And there were some ways that you can preference if you wanted to go somewhere. And it worked out for you. Last thing I would say about being on call is that you need to be flexible. You just got to figure it out. You could be going to somewhere, Iceland, in the cold region, or you can be going to somewhere in Africa. It really is up to the system and where the need is. So be flexible. There's again tools out there for you to learn what other people have gone through. What else should I talk about? So we talked about what happens when you come out of training, your first couple of days. If you're a veteran, support that new person. We should take them under your wing. Anything I should talk about in this video? I'll save for the next one. All right, guys. Next videos, I think I will touch about a day in the life of a flight attendant. What happens, especially if you're a flight leader, and what the good and bad things. Okay. It's all good, but sometimes it gets real. Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon. Ciao.